Bigfoot, a 50-year journey come full circle, written by Dr. Matthew A. Johnson. I'm Willie Rose, and this is Chapter 11, Joining the Light Side of the Forest. In August of 2010, I attended my 30th high school reunion. I couldn't believe that 30 years of my life had just flashed by like that. It seemed like it was only yesterday that I graduated from South Salem High School in Salem, Oregon. I was staying at the Grand Hotel in the downtown Salem area. It was Saturday morning, and I had just slept in because I was up late the night before. I had attended a reunion social that was hosted at a home in West Salem the night before. I found myself rushing to get downstairs in order to partake of the free breakfast buffet offered by the hotel for its guests. I exited the elevator and began to walk towards the breakfast area when I ran into Cynthia Kreitzberg. Apparently, she had just finished eating breakfast and was headed back up to her room. I was about to walk past her when she actually spoke up and said, "Hello," to me. My jaw just about hit the floor. I thought to myself, wow, Cynthia Kreitzberg just said hello to me. She's way out of my league. Please keep in mind that we had 525 graduating seniors in our class. Although I knew who Cynthia was in high school, I never really knew her. Our paths never crossed because we ran in different social circles during high school. As a high school kid, I perceived myself as unworthy to hang out with someone like her. On the other hand, little did I know she thought the same thing about me when we were in high school. I was an all-state and honorable mention All-American high school basketball player. All of the major universities recruited me during my junior and senior years. She thought that I was way out of her league. Fortunately for me, she was brave enough to ask me the following question. "Would you like some company?" I was shocked, dumbfounded, and happy that Cynthia Kreitzberg would ask me if I wanted her to join me for breakfast. I responded, "Yes, please, I would be honored." We caught each other up to speed regarding our current life circumstances. We found ourselves in the same exact boat. We were both leaving our second failed marriages. We both had 3 children the exact same age who were very successful in school and life. The only difference was that I also had a younger child, Grady, who is a fine, young, smart boy with a good heart. We both were enjoying some time off from the stress of a 40-hour-per-week work life, although I was still busy speaking in 80 cities per year teaching my Positive Parenting with a Plan seminars. Finally, we both were mutually attracted to one another, but we obviously didn't want to say anything about it at that point in time. After breakfast was over, I had to check out of my hotel room. I was going to give a friend of mine, David Long and his wife, a tour of Salem. Apparently, Cynthia had some other commitment to fulfill as well. She offered to allow me to store my suitcase in her room for my convenience. I was no dummy. I knew that her gesture was a way of saying that she wanted to see me again, so I enthusiastically agreed to her offer. However, when David called me and canceled the tour, I contacted Cynthia right away and informed her that I was free the rest of the day. We walked all over the downtown Salem area. We talked and talked and talked while we were window shopping. Eventually, we stopped at the food court at the Salem Mall to sit down and eat some lunch. By this time, I knew that there was a possibility of dating Cynthia, but I knew that I had to break the news to her. I'd rather tell her and lose her now rather than wait until later and hurt all the more because of being more deeply involved. So I took the risk and opened up and told her about my big, hairy hobby. I told her about my family's Bigfoot encounter at the Oregon Caves National Monument Park on July 1st, 2000. I shared with her about my subsequent research expeditions in Southern Oregon. I informed her that I had no intention of giving up my hobby and that it was my goal to learn who they were, where they came from, and why they are here. I expected her to roll her eyes or to kindly and graciously thank me for lunch, walk away, and never hear from her or see her again. Instead, she believed me. She was all in. I didn't know then that she was originally a Montana girl who moved to Salem with her parents. She loved the outdoors and had lots of experience in the woods. She was even kissed by a black bear while sleeping at her grandmother's cabin in Montana. The clouds opened up, the sun shone down, and the angels were singing. We spent the rest of the afternoon and early evening just talking, and talking some more. We finally went to our 30th high school reunion that night. Although it was great to see and visit with my classmates from South Salem High School, all I could think about was Cynthia. We would occasionally cross paths during the evening, but we both agreed that we wanted to spend that time catching up with everyone else since we just spent the entire day together. When our 30th high school reunion had come to an end, we eventually said our goodbyes. I gave her a kiss and I drove away knowing that Cynthia Kreitzberg was going to eventually be my wife. The third time is a charm. Fast forward about 9 months to June of 2011. By this time, I had moved north to Puyallup, Washington, to live near Cynthia. We were spending all of our free time together. We walked, hiked, swam, and biked together. We talked about anything and everything under the sun, including the Bigfoot phenomena. I had just been invited by Toby Johnson to speak at his Sasquatch Symposium just outside of Eugene, Oregon. Cynthia and I were excited to attend the conference together. It would be the beginning of our shared Bigfoot journey. As Cynthia and I were driving south from Puyallup, Washington to Eugene, Oregon area, I began to catch her up to speed regarding the different theoretical camps in Bigfootdom. I told her about the traditional researchers, which was the group I'd been a member of for the past 10 years. Then I told her about the fringe group of Bigfooters who believed in the woo-woo. For example, the alleged paranormal abilities of the Bigfoot species. I told her that they have a reputation of making it difficult for those of us who were conducting serious scientific research. I also shared that after 10 years of research, I was becoming more open-minded to explore their point of view. I encouraged her to be friendly to them, nod her head, smile, and take anything they had to share with a grain of salt. Although there could be some truth to what they were sharing, they were still the crazy, kooky people. I had not yet learned how to communicate with them, respect them, or speak their language. After I completed my presentation on Bigfoot and post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, I sat down in the front row and had the opportunity to listen to Tom Powell present before lunchtime. I whispered to Cynthia, "This is one of those crazy, kooky people that I was talking with you about. At least he's funny and keeps the attention of his audience." During Tom's presentation, he discussed conducting a double-blind study regarding the long-distance telepathic communication of the Bigfoot forest people. If I remember correctly, he referred to the Aborigines in Australia and the ability of their shamans to communicate telepathically via long distances. I believe Tom referred to this ability as the Coconut Express. As he spelled out the details of his experiment, I leaned forward to listen more closely. He had captured my attention. As a psychologist with 2 master's degrees and 1 doctorate degree, I understood the utilization of the scientific method as well as the double-blind studies. If this guy was a crazy kook, He was a very intelligent crazy kook. After Tom Powell completed his presentation, it was time to eat lunch. Cynthia and I enjoyed our meal as well as our discussions with the couple sitting across the table from us. When the couple finished eating their lunch, they dismissed themselves. Just when Cynthia and I were about to get up and leave the dining hall, Tom Powell sat down across the table from us. He looked into my eyes and into my soul and asked, "So, what really happened up on the mountain that day?" I couldn't figure out how he knew that I had never told the entire story to anyone during the past 10 years, including my ex-wife and children. I responded to Tom Powell by saying, "You know what, Tom? I'm going to tell you what really happened up on the mountain that day. However, before I tell you, I'm going to take Cynthia outside and tell her first. I've never told a soul what happened, and she's going to be the first one to hear it. When I'm done, you can come outside and I'll tell you too." He politely agreed to my terms and patiently waited to hear my story. I took Cynthia outside of the dining hall and onto the very large deck and told her what I had never told another soul. I shared with her that when I was up on the mountain above the Oregon Caves National Monument Park, behind a natural blind answering my call to Mother Nature, that I didn't see the Bigfoot walk out from behind one tree and see it walk to another tree. Rather, I saw the Bigfoot appear out of nowhere and then walk to another tree. I saw a Bigfoot do what only the kooks describe. I saw it uncloak. As my body was shaking and I was in tears while reliving the experience, I shared with her that I literally felt my cognitive schema of the world and the great outdoors come crashing down inside my head. After my brain rebooted, I felt my protective instincts kick in. Then I shared with her that while I was coming back down the hill through the brush and trees to reach the trail, I actually didn't avoid eye contact with the Bigfoot as I had always reported. Rather, I maintained my visual focus on the Bigfoot as I descended the hill. When he saw me coming down the hill, he immediately cloaked again. As I was approaching my family to get them out of the area, I was absolutely, totally, and completely 100% terrified by what I had just seen. I didn't want to freak out my family by telling them that I saw a Bigfoot. I especially didn't want to freak them out by telling them that I saw a Bigfoot uncloak and then cloak again. Instead, as best I could, I calmly moved them up the trail. As we journeyed up the trail, I was totally scared and overwhelmed by the impossibility of protecting my family from something that was so much bigger than me and who had the ability to appear out of nowhere and just as quickly disappear again. At that moment in time, I seriously doubted my ability to get my family off the mountain alive. As I stood there shaking and crying, Cynthia reached out to comfort me and reassure me that she didn't think I was crazy. I felt a great sense of relief. Her support and encouragement was just what the doctor ordered. With perfect timing, Tom Powell emerged from the dining hall with his ears perked up and ready to listen to my story. I shared it with him just as I had just done so with Cynthia. I waited quietly for his response. He looked at me and said, "Now I believe you. I knew by your expressed emotions during your media interviews that something more had to have happened up on the mountains besides you just seeing a Bigfoot." Tom Powell asked me why I didn't share the entire story 10 years earlier with my family, friends, and the media. I responded in a defensive manner and said, "Are you kidding me? I'm a psychologist with a private practice. I was taking a big enough risk sharing with the world that I simply saw a Bigfoot. There was no way on God's green earth that I was also going to share with the world that I saw that Bigfoot uncloak and cloak again. Everyone would have thought that I was crazy and I would have lost everything. He nodded his head in agreement and responded, "Good decision. I agree. Are you going to start telling people now?" I said, "I'll start telling people when I'm good and ready. Right now, I'm not good and ready. I'm still wrestling with my own denial of what I saw up on the mountainside that day. However, someday, I'm sure I'll be ready to tell the world." As Cynthia and I were driving back to Puyallup, Washington, I realized that I was no longer a full-fledged member of the traditional researchers group. I was now transitioning from the old schoolers research group to the woo-woo group. Although Tom Powell had just enthusiastically welcomed me to the club, my membership came without any instructions or guidance. Fortunately, I now had a partner who was eager to learn along with me. Upon our return home, Cynthia and I were exhausted. We went to bed early that night. It was summertime, so we slept with our second-story master bedroom window wide open. As we laid there engaging in pillow talk, our jaws hit the floor when we both heard a 900-pound owl sound off in the green belt behind our home, i.e., a Sasquatch with very large and loud lungs attempting to imitate an owl. We had never heard anything like it before in the Greenbelt. All of a sudden, right after the woo-woo conference and my subsequent confession, there they were sounding off. We couldn't believe what we were hearing. Needless to say, we were motivated to get out there into the Greenbelt area and start trying to reach out to the Bigfoot forest people. In September of 2011, Howie Gordon was visiting with us. He is a Bigfoot junkie and travels out west at least once per year to spend time with me out in the woods. One night, Howie, Cynthia, and I carried our camping chairs out into the Greenbelt. It was pitch dark, but the ambient light from the moon allowed us to make our way through the forest to our night sit area. We set up our camping chairs in the dark right next to each other. Yes, we were afraid to be out there in the dark. Within 30 minutes or so, we appeared to be surrounded by several Bigfoot forest people. We knew that we were surrounded because we could hear them moving around, some of them whispering to one another, and a couple of them were tossing small pebbles and pine cones at our feet. They weren't trying to hit us and hurt us. Rather, they were simply saying hello to us and getting our attention. Suddenly, to the east of our location, a very large Bigfoot forest person left us and ran down the hillside to the Orting Valley, about 900 feet below. He ran down the hill through the trees and brush in the pitch dark of night. Very impressive. When he reached the bottom of the hill, the three of us heard several dogs sound off in the neighborhood below. While we were sitting there, both Cynthia and I asked Howie to turn off his cell phone. We reminded him that we had a no-light policy while conducting night sits in the forest. He said, "I left my cell phone at your house. What are you talking about?" Cynthia and I both pointed at his right elbow and said, "Right there by your right elbow." Howie said, "Crap, Doc! What the hell is that?" I told him not to move. The three of us watched this small ball of faint light move from his right elbow up to his right hand. Then it moved back down to his right elbow again. Finally, it moved up to his right shoulder. Howie did a great job sitting still while the orb was scanning his right arm. Afterwards, we saw the faint white orb fly from Howie's right shoulder up into the sky about 30 feet above the ground. It hovered there for about 30 seconds, and then it zipped away to the east. Talk about a mind-blowing experience. We continued to sit in the dark for another 30 minutes or so, and then I stood up in the dark and started to talk to them. I said, "Hello, my name is Matt. This is Cynthia, and this is Howie." Both Cynthia and Howie said hello to them too. Then I said in my very calm and soothing psychologist voice, "We're here to be your friends. We don't want to hurt you, and we believe that you don't want to hurt us. It would be really nice if at least one of you would step forward and say hello to us." No sooner than I said that, we had an 8-foot-tall Bigfoot forest person start to walk towards us from the 12 o'clock position on the perimeter of our night sit area. The ambient light from the moon above clearly illuminated the upright, bipedal silhouette that was walking straight toward us. It was about 50 feet away and closing. I stood up, while Cynthia and Howie remained seated in their camp chairs. Suddenly, along its way toward our location, the 8-foot-tall Bigfoot forest person cloaked. However, he continued to walk straight toward us. We could see the branches, ferns, and leaves moving as he came closer. We could hear his upright bipedal steps progressing in our direction. Howie started shouting, "Doc! Doc! It's coming right toward you! Doc!" As the Bigfoot forest person passed me on my left side, I felt him bump my left shoulder. He spun me around like I was a little kid. However, I'm 6'9" tall, and I weigh over 300 pounds. I'm not a little kid. I would like to point out the fact that if he wanted to hurt me or knock me flat on my butt, he most certainly would have. However, he exercised restraint as he bumped my left shoulder while passing me. As he passed me, I literally watched the bipedal footsteps walk through the ferns and leaves on the ground. Then I saw the branches move as high as 8 feet off the ground as he stepped back into the trees and brush. Afterwards, all three of us talked about how we all felt our central nervous systems light up with some kind of energy. Quite frankly, the three of us were so jacked up by what happened during the night sit that we didn't go to bed until 5 a.m. the next morning. The paranormal abilities of the Bigfoot forest people had just been confirmed by the three of us and could no longer be denied or ignored. And that's the end of Chapter 11, Joining the Light Side of the Forest. We come upon Part 3 of the Bigfoot book, The Habituation Research Method, and we are now on Chapter 12, at least it's coming right up. It's called the Southern Oregon Habituation Area, SOHA, S-O-H-A. And Chapter 12 will be coming up soon, of Bigfoot, the 50-Year Journey Come Full Circle, written by Dr. Matthew A. Johnson. I'm Willie Rose.